If you're looking for a good laugh, you can't go wrong with a classic British sitcom. But what are the best ones of all time? That's a tricky question as there are so many great ones to choose from. To help you decide which British sitcoms to watch or rewatch, we've compiled a list of the best ones ever made. So sit back and relax and enjoy our rundown of the best British sitcoms of all time. The Good Life. The Good Life is an enduringly popular British sitcom that aired from 1975 to 78 on BBC One. It was created by John Esmond and Bob Larby, who were inspired to create the show when celebrating Larby's 40th birthday. It starred Richard Briers and Felicity Kendall as Tom and Barbara Good, a couple who decided to quit their jobs and become self-sufficient in their suburban home. Their neighbors, Jerry and Margot Ledbetter, played by Paul Eddington and Penelope Keith, were their friends but also their polar opposites. The show was celebrated for its witty dialogue, its contrast between the idealistic Goods and the materialistic Ledbetters, its gentle satire of both the middle class and the alternative movement, and its realistic portrayal of the joys and challenges of self-sufficiency. Audiences fell in love with the characters, especially Barbara's charm and optimism, Tom's enthusiasm and humor, Jerry's loyalty and sarcasm, and Margot's snobbery and vulnerability. The show also featured some memorable scenes involving animals, crops, homemade gadgets, social events, and misunderstandings. Porridge. Porridge is a classic British sitcom that ran from 1974 to 77. It starred the legendary Ronnie Barker as Norman Stanley Fletcher, a witty and cunning inmate serving a 5-year sentence in Slade Prison. Along with his cellmate, Lenny Godber, played by Richard Beckinsale, Fletcher tries to cope with life behind bars, dealing with various challenges such as strict warders, rival prisoners, and boredom. Porridge is widely regarded as one of the best British sitcoms of all time because it combined hilarious comedy with poignant drama. The show explored themes like friendship, loyalty, justice, and survival in a markedly realistic and human way. The characters were well written and memorable, each with their own quirks and flaws, and the dialogue was sharp and clever, full of wordplay, sarcasm, and slang. Yes, Minister. Yes, Minister is a British political satire sitcom that aired from 1980 to 84. It was written by Anthony Jay and Jonathan Lynn and starred Paul Eddington as Jim Hacker, a newly appointed cabinet minister for the Department of Administrative Affairs. The show followed his struggles to implement his policies and reforms while facing opposition and manipulation from his permanent secretary, Sir Humphrey Appleby, played by Nigel Hawthorne. Derek Folds played Bernard Woolley, Hacker's principal private secretary, who often found himself torn between his loyalty to Hacker and his duty to Sir Humphrey. Yes, Minister is widely considered one of the best British sitcoms of all time because it was a brilliant and comical commentary on the workings of government and bureaucracy. The show exposed the conflicts and contradictions between politicians and civil servants, as well as the influence of media, public opinion, and special interests on policymaking. The show also featured clever dialogue, memorable catchphrases, and hilarious situations that highlighted the absurdity and incompetence of the political system. Dad's Army. Dad's Army was a classic British sitcom that followed the adventures of a group of elderly volunteers who joined the Home Guard during the Second World War. It was created and written by Jimmy Perry and David Croft, who also wrote other hit comedies such as Are You Being Served and Heidi High. It aired on BBC One from 1968 to 77 for 9 series and 80 episodes. It also spawned a feature film, a stage show, a radio version, and several books. The show was set in the fictional seaside town of Walmington-on-Sea, where Captain Mainwaring, played by Arthur Lowe, led his platoon of misfits and eccentrics against the threat of Nazi invasion. His second-in-command was Sergeant Wilson, played by John LeMessurier, a mild-mannered and upper-class bank manager who often clashed with Mainwaring's pompous and authoritarian style. The other members of the platoon included Corporal Jones, played by Clive Dunn, Private Fraser, played by John Laurie, Private Godfrey, played by Arnold Ridley, and Private Walker, played by James Beck, until his untimely death in 1973. Dad's Army is widely regarded as one of the best British sitcoms ever made. It's influenced many other comedies such as 'Allo 'Allo and Blackadder. It has also become a part of British popular culture, with its memorable catchphrases being particularly well known. The Vicar of Dibley. The Vicar of Dibley is a brilliant British sitcom that ran on BBC One from 1994 to 2007. It stars Dawn French as Geraldine Granger, a female vicar who comes to serve in a small Oxfordshire village called Dibley. The show is known for its humor, characters, and social commentary on issues like feminism, homosexuality, animal rights, and politics. The show is considered to be one of the best British sitcoms of all time because it has a strong and charismatic lead actress, a memorable and diverse supporting cast of eccentric villagers, a clever and witty script written by Richard Curtis, who also created other popular comedies, and a catchy theme song composed by Howard Goodall, who also wrote the music for several other iconic shows. It won awards like BAFTA Awards and International Emmy Awards, featured many guest stars like Emma Thompson and Johnny Depp, and earned praise from critics and audiences alike for its humorous portrayal of rural life and church affairs. Blackadder. Blackadder is an unforgettable British sitcom that ran for 4 series from 1983 to 89. It stars Rowan Atkinson as Edmund Blackadder, a cynical and cunning anti-hero who belongs to a different historical period in each series. He's usually accompanied by his loyal but dim-witted servant Baldric, played by Tony Robinson. The series also features other famous actors like Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, Miranda Richardson, and Rick Mayall. The show is known for its cunning dialogue, historical satire, dark humor, and clever plot twists. Each series parodies a different era of British history, such as the Middle Ages, the Elizabethan era, the Georgian era, and World War I. The show also mocks various aspects of British culture, politics, and society. Blackadder has been widely praised by critics and audiences alike and has won many awards and accolades. Only Fools and Horses. Only Fools and Horses is a timeless British sitcom that ran from 1981 to 2003. It was created and written by John Sullivan and starred David Jason as Derek Del Boy Trotter, a fast-talking and ambitious market trader who lives in a council flat in Peckham with his younger brother Rodney, played by Nicholas Lyndhurst. The show followed their hilarious and often disastrous attempts to make money through various schemes and deals while also dealing with their family, friends, and enemies. Only Fools and Horses is one of the most popular and beloved British sitcoms of all time because it was a heartwarming and hilarious comedy that captured the spirit and culture of working-class London. The show featured unforgettable characters such as Del Boy's loyal sidekick Trigger, his dodgy friend Boycie, his long-suffering partner Raquel, his eccentric uncle Albert, and his nemesis Slater. The show had memorable catchphrases such as "Lovely Jubbly," "This time next year we'll be millionaires," and "You plonker." The show also had some iconic scenes such as Del Boy falling through the bar, the chandelier crashing down, and the Batman and Robin chase. Fawlty Towers. Fawlty Towers is considered one of the best, if not the best, British sitcom of all time because it was a brilliant and original comedy that showcased John Cleese's genius as a writer and performer. The show was set in a rundown hotel in Torquay where Cleese played Basil Fawlty, a rude and incompetent hotel owner who constantly clashed with his guests, his staff, and his wife Sybil. The show featured Connie Booth as Polly, a sensible waitress who often helped Basil out of trouble, Andrew Sachs as Manuel, a hapless Spanish waiter who spoke little English, and Prunella Scales as Sybil, a bossy and nagging wife who frequently put Basil down. Fawlty Towers is widely praised for its clever and witty scripts, its hilarious and memorable characters, its superb acting, and its flawless timing. The show also had some classic scenes that have become part of British comedy history, such as Basil hitting his car with a branch, Basil insulting some German guests by mentioning the war, and Basil mistaking a guest's request for a Waldorf salad. Now it's time to hear from you. What do you think of our list? Are you nodding in agreement or seething with anger? Let us know in the comments section below.